Enjoy that part of your life. Fashion it and enjoy it. Take an hour, take a couple of hours, take an evening, and go soak up the symphony, soak up the music. And when you do this, with family, with culture, lifestyle, here's what happens. Number one, you can enjoy it. It's a spendable commodity. But here's the most exciting part of all. The feelings you get from here, the coin, the currency, the worth and the value you get from fashioning a happy life, fashioning a conversation with a child, fashioning a love experience. A good marriage is not a marriage that's left to the wind. It must be well woven. A friendship must be well constructed. A cultured life must be well woven, well constructed. A love affair must be well woven. I'm telling you, all of these values that come from lifestyle, and nobody can engage in the art of lifestyle better than Herbalife distributors, Mark Hughes being one of the best. Better to live in a tent on the beach, be in love, than to live in a mansion by yourself. But now here's the last part. This is the most exciting. Not only can a well-fashioned lifestyle experience be enjoyed, here's the powerful part. It can be invested. It can be invested. Because here's what really happens. You take lifestyle, all those values, all the coin, all the currency of lifestyle, and you invest it. This feeling here helps you to now, drives you to do the better study. Why? This whole cycle keeps coming around. Philosophy, attitude, disciplines create lifestyle. Lifestyle inspires you to go back, develop an even better philosophy, stronger attitude, more detailed disciplines. All of that helps you to produce lifestyle. And if you fashion this well, love affair, marriage, culture, evening, weekend, all of this good stuff now, that inspires you now to read, study and grow, develop your philosophy, strengthen your attitude, pick up the disciplines. This whole cycle, I'm telling you, there's nothing like it once you understand how to live this way.
Bad times. But I don't have bad days anymore. And it's not BS. It's because I've trained myself like an athlete to go in these peak states so often that they're just natural for me. It's like building a muscle. So it's not like I'm so smart or I'm just so positive. It's just like, why would I waste my time stressing out? I have a 90-second rule. I'll stress for 90 seconds, but stress is not going to solve it. Let me put myself back in a different state. And so the way I do that is I use my body. Because I've done this with athletes for decades, with billionaire businnesmen. If you see somebody gets in a slump of some sort, great athlete, Paul Tudor Jones, one of the greatest financial traders in the history of the world, I've coached him for 22 years. When I came to see him, this is a man who made 200% in 1987 when the stock market had its biggest single crash in a day, percentage-wise still. He made 200% for his clients, more money than anybody could dream of. Then he went to the moon and he went down to Earth and then he lost money. So I was brought in to turn him around. Well, how do you turn a guy like that around? Yep. I watched him. His shoulders were down. He was breathing like this. He's sitting like this all the time because he'd been through these failures and it started to get stored in his body. Now, in this state, this man is a genius, couldn't do it. So I watched films when he was at his best and he's like standing up and he's doing this. He's this, what to do, sell this, make this happen. And the movement, the intensity, the way he used his face. And so I showed him a video of himself today and showed him a video when he was at his best. And I said, what do you notice? He was like, those are two different people. I said, yes. But we can get back to this guy by just using the body first. Trying to use your mind, you'll go in circles. But I've been teaching for years that a radical change in your body instantly changes your biochemistry. 38 years I've taught it. 2 years ago at Harvard, they did a study, scientifically proven what I've been teaching all these decades, where they call it power posture.
Yeah, the Wonder Woman stance.
Yeah, standing like Wonder Woman or Superman for 2 minutes.
Yep.
Or like you see guys like this, pulled back like that for 2 minutes. Literally increases your testosterone in your biochemistry within 2 minutes by 20%. It drops cortisol by 18%, which is the stress hormone, and increases your chance of taking a more risky behavior, which is what's required of a leader, by 33%. 2 minutes. Now that's just standing a certain way. I show people use their voice, their body, their movement, which is 10 times more dynamic than just a stiff stance. And when you change your state, your mental, emotional state, you change your performance. Haven't you had times when you have can't remember how to spell a difficult word like the, or your own email
really
or something
tired,
like that?
can't remember
what it
your
is.
Cousin's name.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you've had times where you're in the flow where after you do something, you're like, I did that. I don't know how I did it, but I did it.
Absolutely.
I was in the flow. Well, you're the same person. The only difference is state. So training yourself to be in a peak state every day. I mean, you think about a great businessman. Think of a great entertainer like Elton John has been around in rock and roll for what, 40? How many years is it? 40 years?
70s, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's mind-boggling, and most people still like some sample of his music. Well, he's got to have days when he gets up to entertain when he thinks, if you make me sing that Daniel song one more time, I'm going postal, right? But he never does. Every single time he's in that same beautiful state. That's not because he's naturally like that. He's trained himself to do that. Like a great athlete trains himself. That's what leaders have to do. The state of the union, the state of the company is the culture. And the culture starts at the head. Whoever that leader is, their state impacts everybody else. So training yourself to be in that peak state is the key to it all. I think ferocity spirit is critical for everybody, but we all have it. It's like a muscle.
Do we all have it?
Yeah, we do. Courage unused, though, becomes weaker. Determination unused gets smaller. Passion unexpressed gets smaller. It's like any muscle, the more you use it. And he's been using it for years. His son, though, here's the other thing. He had a reason larger than himself. You see the pattern in all the people that have overcome. He wanted to do for his son. At the time, he was told me about his worried about all his employees, and he really cares about his people. But here's the secret, though. You have to make that shift where it's no longer an excuse. If you give yourself an excuse, humans will take it. If you're going to take the island, you burn the boats. And he burned the boats and said, I'm going to find the answer. First, he shifted his psychology, came to my business mastery program, and then he got the skills. Because like I said earlier, it's not just confidence. You got to have skill, and he had both, and he found the way. Show them what you did.
Yeah, after that particular business mastery program, again, as Tony says, 80% of it is psychology, and then 20% of it is mechanics or the strategies. But unless you get the psychology down, the mechanics don't matter. And I can tell you from that day in November of 2008 where I made that decision that I was not going to fail, and I kissed my lady and said, I'm going back to work. And we went out there and I learned how to export. And when there was no market for steel in the United States, I was able to export to several different companies or several different countries. And we took off from there. We continued to grow. And it was just, again, it's about a mindset. It's about having a level of pride. For me, it was coming from where I come from. The Melio name didn't mean a whole heck of a lot. And I was determined to change that because it's something of what I call generational influence. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for my son.
The other thing you should do if you're not very industrious is discipline yourself. And so what do you do with that? Eat 3 times a day at regular meal times. That's a good thing to practice because that starts to put some stability into your life. Get up at the same time. I would highly recommend all those young people out there who are listening, you want to get a jump on life, get the hell out of bed in the morning. As I've got older, I've got up earlier and earlier. Now that's partly because you don't need as much sleep, but it's also partly because I've got more and more disciplined. Get up early in the morning and get your things done. Man, learn to get up at 6 in the morning and you'll be one deadly creature, especially if you can get to work. You'll have half your damn day done by the time other people haul their sorry asses out of bed.
How many of you feel like your mind is always on? Like you're worrying about the past or you're anxious about the future? How many of you feel like your mind controls you? If you said yes to any of those questions, I want you to stay tuned as I share this concept from my book, Think Like a Monk. Hey everyone, my name is Shetty and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now I know you've experienced this. You wake up in the morning, ready to start the day early, but your mind makes you press that snooze button. You decide you're going to be really, really healthy, but your mind makes you break that promise and then makes you feel guilty for it afterwards. Or the best yet, your mind has focused on preparing for this interview, but reminds you of all of your flaws, mistakes, and rejections just before you walk inside. How many of you have experienced any of these things before? So let me tell you a personal story. I remember once trying to give up chocolate fudge cake. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but for those of you who know me well, you know that I have a massive sweet tooth and I absolutely love chocolate cake. So this was already going to be difficult. But now, as soon as I'd made that commitment, Every time I walked past a bakery or a cake shop, I literally felt like that cake was staring at me, and there was a voice in my head that said, buy me now, eat me. I mean, I know I sound psycho right now, but it's true, right? We have that feeling as soon as you make that commitment to yourself that you're going to have a healthy diet, you're going to start working out, whatever it may be, we're triggered almost in the opposite direction by our own mind. How does that happen? Why does it happen? And how do we overcome it is what I want to share with you today. To explain this, we first have to understand the difference between the monkey mind, which we're talking about right now, and the monk mind. So the monkey mind is always jumping from branch to branch. It's always looking for the next pleasure or that instant gratification. It's always looking for the short-term win. It's the part of us that complains, compares, and criticizes. But the monk mind is focused on the root of the issue. The monk mind is focused on discipline and long-term gain. Instead of being comparing, complaining, and criticizing, the monk mind is calm, composed, collaborative, caring, and compassionate. So if we want to make that transformation and that switch, we have to understand how the mind works. And I'm going to show you how the Bhagavad Gita talks about this conversation that we all experience in our minds between the mind and the intelligence. Now, how many times have you ever woke up in the morning and had that conversation in your head? There's one voice that says, go back to sleep. You've had a really tough week. You've been working so hard. And there's another voice that says, this is going to be the start of a great week. You've had enough rest. Now's the time to get up and you're going to perform at the highest level. This is a conversation between the mind and the intelligence. The mind is the monkey mind. The intelligence is the monk mind. The monkey mind just wants to sleep, be lazy, lethargic, and not focus on getting proper rest. You probably were forced by that monkey mind to stay up the night before and watch a show till 2 a.m. anyway. The monk mind wants you to have a proactive start to the day, proactive start to the week. So here's what's happening. We have 5 senses: sight, smell, touch, taste, and hearing. Now, all of these have different triggers. So if we think about food, you see good food, right? Or let's say you see junk food, you smell that junk food, you know what that junk food tastes like. You don't hear junk food, I don't think anyway. And as soon as that happens, there's a response that goes straight to your mind. Now, what happens in your mind, and as you can see, this is a very accurate drawing of what your mind really looks like inside. But this area of your mind, it reminds you of your past experiences you've had. So when you see those fries, you smell those fries, you see those fries, you touch those fries, it sends a response to your mind. Your mind knows what those fries taste like. It remembers the last time you had them and how good they felt, and straight away goes, yeah, let's have them. And so the mind goes, sure, let's go and plan and create, and now we have those. Now we start to eat that. And that is a recurring habit and cycle in our life. It happens from everything from food that's bad for us to toxic relationships through to making bad career decisions. The simple act of reminding ourselves of a positive experience with someone or something allows us to continue that repetition. But now we all know this. We all know that discipline is a core pillar in success. We all know that being able to resist the urges of the mind can help us be more focused.
Philosophy, the major determining factor in how your life works out. Philosophy. To form our philosophy, you gotta think, you gotta use your mind, you gotta process ideas. This whole process over a lifetime, starting way back here when we were children, schools that we've attended, our parents, our experiences, all this stuff that we've processed by the thinking process, helps to develop our philosophy. And in my opinion, each person's personal philosophy is the major factor in how your life works out. Here's what I called it in that last presentation when I was here. It's called the set of the sail. Each person's personal philosophy is like the set of the sail. Now, I used to think it was circumstances that ordered my life. If someone would have asked me at age 25, Mr. Rohn, how come you're not doing well? Pennies in your pocket, creditors calling, nothing in the bank, behind on your promises to your family, you live in America, 25 years old, got a beautiful family, every reason to do well, and things are not going that well for you. What is wrong here? It would not have occurred to me to blame my philosophy. I mean, it would not have occurred to me. Saying, well, I got this lousy philosophy, and that's how come I got pennies in my pocket and nothing in the bank. Things aren't working well. That would not have occurred to me. I found it much easier to blame the government. Much easier to blame the tax problem. I used to say taxes are too high. Top tax rate when I first started paying tax, 91%. Back then, when your income reached a certain level, all your income over that, 91%. So I used to say that's too high. Now, the top tax rate's about 33%, but people are still saying what? Taxes are too. See, but you can't use that anymore. If it's gone from 91 to 33, how could it be too high? Come on. I threw all that old excuse stuff away. Some people found it, though, and they're using it these days. My old list. I used to blame the traffic, the weather, used to blame circumstances, right? People say I'm too tall, I'm too short, I'm too old, I was raised in obscurity, raised on a farm, parents of modest means, all the stuff. If you were to ask me, how come you find yourself here, Mr. Rohn, age 25, living in America, land of abundance and opportunity, pennies, zero in the bank, not doing well, creditors calling, it would not have occurred to me to blame my philosophy. I found it easier to blame the company policy. I used to say, if this is all they pay, how do they expect you to do well? So I figured that, my future was going to be tied to what everybody else was arranging, the economy and, right, interest rates. I used to say things cost too much. That was my whole explanation, not my philosophy, until my teacher taught me better that this is where the problem was, my own personal philosophy.
It gives you choices. It determines the difference in life and death, ability to afford health care, the quality of education that you can provide for your children, the ability to make a difference in the community. I'm doing training with young people in an area of Chicago called Englewood, where more young men have been killed in Englewood than in the Iraqi war, teaching them how to develop their minds, how to develop their communication skills, how to dress like a prospect rather than a suspect, how to stay away from negative people and develop the skills to make it in a global economy. Money makes it possible for me not to have to depend upon some government agency to make that happen. So as you look at yourselves, make it important that you find some way to use your talents and gifts to generate the income that allow you to control your destiny. I read something that said, either you control your destiny or someone else will. Here's the other thing. Repeat after me, please. Take care of myself. Yeah, so you got to take care of yourself. I'm 63. I can do 140 push-ups nonstop after warming up. I couldn't do that when I was 20 years old. And the reason that I do that, the exercise reduces the possibility of cancer reoccurring by 32% or spreading by 30%. It helps to reverse the aging process and keeps you younger, keeps your mind sharper, and allow me to take care of my temple so I can continue to do my work, so that you can continue to do the good work that you were sent here to do. So you got to make it important to take care of yourself. Put that at the top of the list, because you can't do well and can't do good work if you don't feel good. We don't want to be like the man who said, if I'd known I'd live this long, I'd have taken better care of myself. Here's something else. Repeat after me, please. OQP, only quality people. Yes, look at your relationships and ask yourself the question, Jim Rohn would ask this question, what is this relationship doing to me? Sidney Poitier wrote a book called The Measure of a Man. I love the tapes because I love his voice. He said, when you go for a walk with someone, something happens without being spoken. He said, either you adjust to their pace or they adjust to your pace. Whose pace have you adjusted to? MIT did a study, and the study indicated that you earned within $2,000 to $3,000 of your closest friends and associates earn. Who's impacting you? Who's in your ear? What influence do they have on you? Dr. Dennis Kimbrough said, if you're the smartest one in your group, you need to get a new group. So practice the principle of OQP, only quality people. And somebody's saying, Les, can I change them? No, it's a full-time job changing yourself. Some people are so negative, they'll walk into a dark room and begin to develop. My family members and friends call me crazy for going to seminars, spending money on books and tapes and going to seminars. When are you going to stop going? I said, when I die.
I think I'm the way I am because of what I watched my dad. In other words, I'm not an alcoholic, but my dad was a dude who get angry pretty quick, get stressed pretty quick. So your life may look a whole lot different externally than the people that raised you. Maybe you even made the decision, I'm not going to be like these people. And maybe the external part of your life's not like it. But what about the internal part? You getting all the joy? Let's be honest, don't answer me. Has it been all it's been cracked up to be to get where you are? Or didn't you think you'd feel better about yourself by the time you got here? You thought you'd feel better about yourself. The crazy thing about it is you could have given yourself the gift the whole time of feeling that way. And your kids, you know when you go to one of your kids' Little League games, there's 25 kids out there, 9 on each side plus the dugout. Which kid do you see? You see your little dude, don't you? You got a little kid, you go to their Christmas recital, there's 35 kids up there singing away. Somehow you look at yours the whole damn time, don't you? Except maybe the kid lip syncing in the weird, but you know what I'm talking about. Well, guess what? All they see is you, Dad. All they see is you. You may not realize it or not, but someday they're going to figure out who you are. They love you because you're Dad, but at some point, are they proud of you? Do they respect you? Are you a man making a difference in the world? Those of you that don't have children but have parents or siblings, they know who the heck you are. You ladies here, mama, do they know who you are? Someday you figure out who you are. They figure it out, man. And you know what they want more than anything than you to be all this other stuff? Is Dad happy? Is my dad happy? And they know when you're lying. They don't see anybody else. The whole prism of the world of what they think they can experience, you're providing them. And it's not the stuff, it's the emotion. It's the emotions they learn from you. They learn how to live. They learn their emotional home. And they know whether or not Dad is happy. I want you to begin more consciousness. You may be running out of time with them. In my case, they've left my house already. My son's gone. My daughter I got one more year with. But I'm showing them a version of me that's happier and more joyous and more giving in the quiet time.
Can you grab what I'm telling you? So I don't know what you thought I was going to say. I'm just a real dude. I don't even have the education you all have. I flunked out of school. I ain't got no education. I don't use 4-syllable words. The only 4-syllable word I know is my bank account. That's it. What I'm sharing with you is stuff that everybody can apply today. If you're sitting in here thinking that you're too old to listen to what Steve, hell, I'm 60. I'm 60 years old. I know. You can't believe it. I know. He's so fly. I know. But I'm 60. But I still rely on my imagination. See, if you think you're too old to make it, let me give you a prime example. Colonel Sanders. Colonel Sanders has been frying chicken his whole life. He was telling everybody he had the best chicken in the world. Ain't nobody believe it. They turned him down everywhere. Colonel Sanders didn't get a franchise till he was in his 60s. Kentucky Fried Chicken sell more chicken than anybody in the world today. So if you're sitting there thinking because you got a little gray on you, you too late, as long as God waking you up in the morning, that's the sign that he ain't through with you. So what you tripping for? You sitting up in here like God can't do nothing for you because you 60. Man, you know what I'm asking God for right now? And I'm 60. If you could see my vision board, you would be blown away. Because I got enough right now. I really know. But I ain't in the need business. I'm in the want business. Ain't nothing wrong with wanting something. Quit going down to these churches y'all sitting up in here going down to, keeping you in these little boxes. God got a big life for you. The only person ain't get done. Look, and I love church. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking church. Don't tweet that. Steve don't care for the church no more. I didn't say that. But don't go down there, memorize all these scriptures, and then don't apply none of them to your life. That's what I'm talking about. Quit going down there just to go and just get a couple of scriptures and apply them to you. Let me give you one that's real simple. See, these principles of success, they've taken all of these scriptures and they put them in books, and they call them, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz. Everything in there is a scripture. They just reworded it because people don't know how to read the Bible. Like, I can't really read the King James Version. I can't. 4 verses of that, I go to sleep. Cause hence, furthermore, whatsoever, whosoever. Who is you talking about? I need a name, dog. Not whomsoever, because I'm thrown off. I didn't do good with reading and comprehension in school. The smallest scripture I ever read changed my life. The scripture real simple. You have not because you ask not. Do you know the difference that could make in your life? I'm just giving you real talk now. I'm just trying to tell you how I got here. See, I have no education. I applaud all of you with your education. I was sitting there talking to so many men who have in corporate America and all that. I'm in awe of that because I don't have it. But you sit here and you take what what you have, and it could be so much more if you would ask. See, you have not because you ask not. When the last time you really asked him for something? Or do you keep making requests that's inside the confines of your paycheck? When you gonna get outside of that? Didn't I just tell you God ain't in your paycheck? Didn't I just tell you he ain't in your job title? The life God got for you is in your imagination. Why you still imagining stuff? Why you keep dreaming of a summer home? Why you keep dreaming of retirement, leaving your grandkids money? So I'm at the age now where I think about my grandkids. I got 7 TV shows. Dog, I only need one. One show pay me enough money. I need 4 for my wife. 4 of them is for Marjorie. The other 3 is for the grandkids. I just need one. I do not live my life in the confines of what anybody says. I let my imagination go, and the imagination is a preview to life's coming to track. But what that really means is God showing you a preview of what he has for you. So now, if you have not because you ask not, do you understand if you up your ask, he has to up his give? Just period. This is simple stuff that anybody can apply. You ain't even gotta have no degree to do this. You don't even have to have no money to do this. You can start this today and change your whole game, because you're gonna need grace and favor anyway.
I'll give you another example. In America, many of you, there's 72 countries here, but in America, a lot of people see individuals that come from Asia as being superior in science and math. And there's a different mindset in those countries about science and math. And when those people come here, they work incredibly hard, they're incredibly focused, they believe, and the belief structure is they do really well if you're Asian. Now, in our culture, in the past, many times people have been focused on the fact that if you are a man, you do well with math and science, but if you're a woman, it's just not your cup of tea, you're not quite as strong in it. And there's no basis for that whatsoever, but it's a cultural anchor that people have begun to believe in. So here's what's interesting. They took the math part of the SAT test, and they took a group of women at Harvard, and all they did to change the test is change the first question of the test. On half the test, they said, what's your gender? On the other half the test, they said, what is your nationality, right? What's your ethnicity? Well, interesting. When they're asked what their sex was, and they're all women, they performed 11% lower. And if they were asked, what is your ethnicity? And they said Asian, they were 11% higher, a 22% difference between the two. And the only difference was the first question was asked. Because it primed you either for your higher level of skill based on your conditioning or a lower level of skill based on social conditioning. How many follow, right? There's a million studies like this. Another interesting one that's really simple is they did an ad where they show the IBM logo and the Apple logo. And they also did this with the commercial. I don't know if you remember the commercial Think Differently that Apple made years ago. So that people watch the commercials. In both cases, afterwards, they were given a creativity test. The people that watched the 30-second Apple commercial versus IBM scored 20% higher consistently across the board, and all they saw was 30 seconds about thinking different. That is the power of priming. So my point is really simple. If you're going to get the results that you deserve and that you want to prime yourself for success, prime yourself for love, prime yourself for courage, rather than hope that you show up that way based on the triggers of your environment. Does this make sense? And so I prime myself every single day for a minimum of 10 minutes. It's the first thing I do in the morning. And I'd like to show you how I do it and have you do it so you can have a daily discipline. And if you do this every day, if you keep once or twice a year, get yourself to an immersion experience that makes you grow. You get yourself a coach where twice a month, 30 minutes even, you're just staying on target and measuring. And you read 30 minutes a day or hear an audio 30 minutes a day and you start with priming, then this won't be a 3, 6, 12-month thing. This will be a lifetime thing. Does that make sense? So you're not going to get a lifetime results unless you're lucky by one experience, but you can certainly have it if you use this as the blast off, and then you have a daily discipline to keep the momentum going. So how are we going to prime? Well, let me give you a story first, a simple example first with one of my boys. My second youngest son's name is Josh. I love him to death, amazing kid. And Josh came to live with me when he was 5 years old. Remember I told you I was 24, and instantly I got married to a woman who'd been married twice before with kids from 2 different husbands, and she wasn't living with her kids. And so I met her, fell in love with her, brought her into my life, and then saw how sad she was without her kids. So I brought her kids away from both the other husbands. They were happy to give them to us, and I adopted them as ours. And so I'm 24, and I got a 17-year-old son, because she was 13 years my senior, an 11-year-old daughter, a 5-year-old, and one on the way. Well, Josh was the 5-year-old, and Josh is just such a sweet, really incredibly great kid. But one of the challenges for Josh was he was afraid to even walk down the driveway to get to the bus. I'm Mr. Fear into Power, rip shit open, and my son can't walk down to the bottom of the street. And so I had to kind of try to figure out how to deal with this, how to figure it all out, and to figure out what I was going to do to try and make this thing happen, to make it change. And so one of the things that happened was I started to realize that I needed to train his nervous system to have courage. Instead of hoping it showed up, I got to really train it. And I started doing these things with him, and I watched him before my eyes change and become more confident, became more strong. And all it was doing was getting to program his own mind, prime himself. Just really simple little things to do. And then one day, Josh came home, and he was laughing uncontrollably, and like over nothing. And then I came in the room, and there was a new friend with him. And this kid, do you know anybody that's not really funny, but they think they are? How many know something like this? Somebody who cracks themselves up, you know what I mean? And this kid was cracking himself up. He wasn't funny, but he laughed so hard, I found myself laughing at his silly jokes, right? And Josh was laughing so much. So when he left, I said to Josh, that kid, he's your friend? I said, make him your friend for life. He goes, why, Dad? I said, because if you hang out with him, who you spend time with is who you become. And when you're around him, you're so much more playful. You just have so much more joy. You have so much laughter. And that young boy, my son is 36 and I have 3 grandkids with him, and his best friend is still that young boy who's now also 36 years old. And Josh is, let's give him a hand for that. That's it. And to this day, Josh is funny as shit. When he was a little kid, like he's 7 or 8 years old, he stole this dirty jokes book and memorized every freaking joke in the damn thing. And he got so much reward for it, and his buddy was like that. To this day, if I want to laugh, Josh is my partner in a couple of my companies, and he's not my partner. I have 4 kids. None of my others are partners with me. I love them all equally, but he shows up differently. And part of it is things that stress other people out, he breaks the pattern with his own laughter. And it's beautiful to be around him. Great time. And he primed him. So I'll give you another example of priming. When I first started my Date with Destiny seminar decades ago, I did the seminar in my own house at a place called the Del Mar Castle. And there were about, 38, 39 people at the seminar. It's a little different now, as you can see. And I was delivering like my heart and soul into this particular program. And gradually I started looking around and going, man, I can't keep doing this in my house. There's not enough room. When we got to 100 people, I had to move it. But I wanted to keep it in the, I lived in Del Mar, California. It's on the beach. And I said, well, there's a hotel on the beach. And it's a really nice hotel called Le Berge. And we'll go down Le Berge, we'll do it there. And they have a room that'll hold 150 people, which is a giant seminar for me at those days. And what I didn't count on, I thought, this is great. People work on their beliefs and their goals and their values, and they can go outside and they can sit on the beach during the breaks, breathe the fresh air. But what I didn't think about is right there in Del Mar on the beach, there's a train station. And so somehow my little brain didn't figure this out till it was too late. I'm in the middle of the seminar and someone is sharing this emotional experience. This woman was raped and she's going through it all, and I'm stepping in to help her, and all of a sudden and you hear this freaking train whistle. So, and they do it like 5 times so nobody misses the train. And so every time you start talking, you interrupt it again, and people are getting pissed off. And it was happening so often because there's so many trains that at one point I realized I know the schedule when everybody will be pissed off. 8:30 a.m., 10:15, 11:30, 12:10. They're going to be pissed because the train's going to come. So I turned to the audience and I said, we kind of have a schedule for being pissed off right now, and I'd like us to train ourselves to feel differently. How many of you have something in your life or someone who can trigger you at times, annoy you? It could be a family member you love, but they have this little thing they do. It could be a husband or wife. It could be your kids. It could be a coworker. How many got one of these? Say, I said, what if we trained ourselves so the same stimulus that was making us angry, we trained our nervous system just using basic science, neuroscience, train our nervous system so the same stimulus makes us feel great. And people looked at me like, this is bullshit. What are you talking about? I said, here's what I want to do. Since the train's going to come 12 times a day and we have 3 more days together, perhaps we should enjoy the train. How many of you, when you were a kid, when you heard a train, you wanted to see the train and maybe count the number of cars or run down and be close to it? How many were excited when you saw a train? Raise your hand, say aye. Now you're on the way to work or a meeting and a train comes and it's in your way. Frickin' train! I'll give you a clue. The train didn't change. Right? So the question is, I said, what if every time the train comes, we train ourselves to celebrate, to feel good, to enjoy? I said, so here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Every time we are trained, I don't care if you're in the middle of the most important conversation of your life. I don't care if we're doing something what you think is so important. I don't care if you're tired. I don't care if all the books are on your chair. I want you to instantly just drop everything, and I want you to jump and start to celebrate like a little kid, like it's the greatest gift of your life. And then we're going to end with a whoa clap, and then we're going to laugh hysterically into our chair. And if you can't laugh, I want you to fake laugh into your chair. Because most of you know, if you fake laugh, what starts to happen? Real laughter comes, right? And then you wire yourself to laugh more easily. Just like with Josh, I wanted people, wouldn't it be nice to laugh easier? You didn't have to have everything be perfectly funny for you to have a good time. Because most of you doesn't have to be perfectly bad for you to be pissed off. So train it. So I got everybody to agree, and we did it. So every time the train came, and some people are like, oh, frickin' train, that won't work. You gotta go, it's a train. You gotta be like a little kid. And pretty soon, people look forward to the train. And by the way, would this be useful to train yourself around a person in your life or a situation? Yes or no? So I don't have a train nearby, but I have imported a special train whistle. And I'm gonna ask you for the rest of today, no matter how tired we are, no matter how hardworking, no matter what we're in the middle of, if we hear that train whistle, we're gonna jump up and we're gonna celebrate like little kids, make noise, have fun. We'll clap, we'll do the whoa clap, and then we're gonna laugh hysterically into our chair and maybe point at somebody else and laugh at them while we're doing it to train our nervous system.
you.